women's 10,000, which came first this morning. Sifan Hassan caps off the Hassanathon with another gold medal. So her total number 2 gold, 1 bronze, 24,500 meters. Gezahenge of Bahrain gets the silver. Latensepet Gidey, the world record holder, gets the bronze. Gidey tried to push this race, Gordon. She did what everybody thought she should do, including us. She tried to make it difficult for Hassan in the final 10,000 meters of this historic triple, but she couldn't shake her. She shaked everybody else. She shook off Helen Obiri, but she just could not get rid of Sifan Hassan. She ratcheted the pace down. They were running some 70s. The weather was tough. You could tell people were dropping out. It looked incredibly warm out there. So she wasn't running world record pace, but I think she was running about as quick as you could expect. And you could see a little bit over the last 4 laps, reality set in of, oh, I am not able to get rid of her. And then she took her foot off the gas a bit. I know there was a lap at 75 there towards the end where it seemed like she was saying, all right, well, now I'm going to just gear up for a kick. But at that point, you're not going to win a kicking contest with Sifan Hassan in this 10,000 if you're Latensepet Gidey. It doesn't matter how many races she's run before. At that point, it was written. Did it surprise you that Hassan was able to come back after the 1500 and still be so sharp at the back half of this race and stick with the tough pace?
Yes and no. The reason why I say no doesn't surprise me is she wouldn't have done it if she didn't think she was capable. She knew what her body was going to feel like going into a 10K after doing 3 rounds of
Mm-hmm.
15s and 2 5Ks. So she was mentally prepared for it. So it's not like last minute when the coach says you're running the 4x4 and then you're like, what? I thought I was done. And then you're like, you're not prepared and you might not
Mm-hmm.
handle that last race well. But she knew she was running this 10K for probably many months. And I think she trained for it. So I wasn't surprised that, like, she was either going to finish top 3 or be a DNS. Like, I don't see a situation where she runs a 10K and she's like running in the middle of the pack, finishing ninth, 10th, 11th. If she's going to be in it, she's going to be up there with the ability to kick, with to see, kind of hoping that Good Day doesn't have a once in a lifetime race where she's able
Yeah.
to, and that's what happened. She didn't. She was able to outkick her, and also the Bahrainian athlete. Um, but I think the bigger thing that I want to take away from this triple as a whole is we've seen great, like, dominant distance athletes for many years, right? On the men's side, Bekele, Mo Farah, you know,
Mm-hmm.
everyone, right? We've seen a bunch of people who have been able to do a 5-10 double, or they've just
Mm-hmm.
been able to dominate for a long time. Do you think what Hassan is doing will open the eyes of other athletes to be like, hey, maybe it's possible to do more doubles. It's possible to push yourself. Like, do you think this is a once in a lifetime type achievement that no one is ever gonna, like? Are we gonna see more people attempt triples? That's what I'm gonna ask. Because clearly Hassan has showed it's possible. Right now, again, she is
Mm-hmm.
an all-time great athlete, but she did show it's possible. Will we see other athletes be like, hey, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give myself 3 cracks at a medal instead of just going two
Mm-hmm.
cracks at a medal with the 510 or 2 cracks at a medal with the 515. Will we? I just want to know if you think this is going to change the way athletes approach a world championship with the mind of you're going fishing with a net where you just see how many medals you can catch as opposed to fishing with just one hole, your one event, like the way Jacob Ingebrigtsen did. Jacob probably could have won that 5K, right? But he was like, no, I'm going all in on the 15, right? Just focus on the
Mm-hmm.
15. Now it worked out, but maybe we see Jacob Ingebrigtsen be more into doing a 5-15 double because he's seeing an athlete like Sifan Hassan do this.
I think she's unique. So you mentioned all those people that
Okay.
have done doubles in the past, and they were all-time greats. Hassan, obviously an all-time great, but Hassan's skill set is especially suited for this. And what I mean by that is not just she's really good in the 15, 5, and the 10. It's just her range in general. She's run 156 in an 800 and 65 and a half. So even before she was winning gold medals and even before she ascended to the top of the sport, like her calling card was her range. And some athletes just have better range. They're just able to, for whatever reason, some physiological feature that they have, they're able to adapt and be good at a bunch of different distances. Now, early on, she was good at a bunch of different distances, but she wasn't a gold medalist at all of them. Then she was able to apply that and pull this off. But no, I think she's unique. I think more people might get a bit more creative, but if you're asking who's going to be able to, given the constraints of the schedule, if you're asking, are we going to see a 15-5-10 double? No, I don't think we're going to, or triple, excuse me. I'm so conditioned to say the word double. I don't think we're going to see, like, we don't even see that in sprint events. In the NCAA, we don't
Yeah,
even see that. Like you see that in high school in the United States, and then it pretty much stops. But at that point, and I know every meet is different, and when you're trying to get team points, and then when you double, but there's very few instances of athletes competing in 3 running events throughout one competition. So I think what we're seeing here is
that's not
something that,
relay related. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because even something like a 100, I mean, we've seen obviously 100, 200 long jump, but you don't see 1, 2, 4 attempts. You don't see, high hurdle. I mean, you've seen high hurdle, low hurdle before, but you haven't seen that third non relay event. And I know it's different in running events than it is in technical pursuits, just because you don't have as much time and energy to devote to the technical components of the sport. But I really think we're looking at something that we're going to be talking about in 20, 30 years as still holding up with Hassan.
Do you think Mo Farah in his prime could have done a triple? Because he was able to run some quick 1500s during that run. I think he had
Yeah.
end up with a PB of like 328 or something like that. Do you
Yeah.
think there was any year where, like maybe in like 2012, do you think 2012 a triple was
Hmm.
possible for Mo Farah?
That would have been the only, yeah, that range would have been his target, the 2012, 2013, 2015 spot. But no, I really don't, because yeah, he ran the 328, but how would that have worked out through the rounds? Just the accumulation in her legs by the end of this competition. And listen, we talked about team tactics and how people never did it to Mo Farah. I think they would have absolutely done it in this situation where his last event was the 10,000 or his last event was the 5,000. It's harder to imagine it with Farah because while his wins were all spectacular, it was all like sit and kick usually.
Yeah,
Sifan Hassan, like she in Doha, she was just taking command of those races when she did the 15 10K double. She was just blowing people out, basically. She was in another area code. Farah's margins to the next best person was never as big. So I think he still could have he would have acquitted himself well. He wouldn't have embarrassed himself out there, but I think he probably would have won 1 gold, but I think he definitely he would have struggled in the 15. I think he would have put the other gold in jeopardy. So this is to go gold, bronze. I don't think we're gonna see it unless Hassan does it again in the near future.
do you think
But
if the 1500 for Safana San, do you think if she did the 1500 and like she had if it was no overlap and the order went 15 5K 10K where she got to do the 1500 completely fresh, do you think there
yeah,
was any world where she would have won that 15 to get 3 golds instead of 2?
it's
I feel
interesting you
like
bring
no.
that up because one thing I liked about this result is that it left no debate about whether she should not have run the 15. Because if she got silver here, you'd say, oh, if she didn't run the 15, she could have run the 10K. Like the broadcasts were saying that. But you still managed, even though there's basically no questions left to be asked, to find a question to be asked, which was how do you get her to 3 golds? I don't think so. I'm with you. I saw that Monaco race. It looked an awful lot like the race that we saw in Tokyo. Mir was really solid there for silver. I think Kipyegon just is really good in these championship races. As we mentioned, I think she's the greatest female miler, 1500-meter runner of all time. So I don't think she did. I do like that Hassan did it though, because she needed to be challenged. If she had just run the 5 and the 10, and got 2 golds like she did, we wouldn't have seen her push to her absolute limit and see what she could get out of it. Like, the double would have, and it's weird to say, but the double would have been too easy for her. So she needed to do
Yeah,
this to test herself. And you're right that not all like you mentioned before, certain athletes, there's not a double available to them because of the event that they run. It's not like the javelin throwers can't come back and do the shot. It's not practical. But she's lucky enough to be in an event grouping where this is at least a distinct possibility. Now, it's exceedingly rare for very good reasons. But it's fun to watch athletes have the ability to show fully what they're capable of. And when you see someone just win one title, you see a Thing Mo run that 155. Now, she got to come back later in the 4x4, but you'd really want to see, okay, can we get a Thing Mo in a quarter here? Like, how good is she going to look in a 400? Like, you want to see the people not just win by comfortable margins, but you want to see them, how do they respond when they're pushed, when they're a little more tired, when things aren't going exactly perfect for them. And that's what this triple allowed us to see. It pulled everything that Hassan had out and showed us exactly what type of runner she is. And she's one of the greatest of all time. That's what it revealed. Like, we're going to remember this forever, I think. Like, like what she did, the competition she beat too. I talked about that before. She beat the 10,000-meter world record holder, left her in her dust today after running 2 events.
I got an idea for you, right?
Mm,
This is called the Sifanathon, right? Hassanathon, whatever. Sifan
mm-hmm.
Hassanathon. Um, and it's the triple, but technically she didn't do it, right? It's not technically a triple because one of the races she got third. How about this? How about she change the triple she goes for? Instead of trying to do the 15, 5, and 10, she should do the
Mm-hmm.
10, the 5, and the 3K steeplechase. I think
Mm,
if you give Sifan Hassan a year to learn how to get over barriers, I think she could pull off that type of triple, right? We know she can do a
mm-hmm.
5'10". I think seeing what she did in those 1,500-meter prelims and finals, I think that you could translate that into a fast 3K steeple, and I could see her pulling off an actual triple with 3 golds instead of just 2 and a bronze if she would learn
Yeah,
how to steeple. I mean, you think you'd see more steeple and then another event doublers, right? Because I guess a lot
yeah.
of the steeplers
Well,
stay. They like go in the steeple and they stay. But you think there'd be someone out there who's a dominant 5K runner or 1,500-meter runner who's like, hey, it's 3,000 meters. I can do that distance. Just gotta learn how to get over the barriers. So maybe
yeah.
Sifan Hassan can learn how to steeple. That's a triple I want to
It
see.
well, I saw some story. I forget where it came from, but that she was thinking with along with her coach that they might even try the 8 10,000 double at this meet. Which at that point, you're just you're just trying to please like the content people at that point. Like, it's amazing. It's like, but it seems like a thing that you like debate with your friend. Like, you don't think it would actually be discussed. Like, hey, what's the widest range you can get between 2 different distances and still win gold? Like, hey, I'm at 8 and the 10. That sounds cool. Like, but apparently they were actually considering it, which obviously would have been completely nuts to do. So I don't take anything off the table with Sifan Hassan. Steeple, you risk the injury with the barrier, so that's a bit tough. But I don't think she'll go back down to the 8 now because winning gold in the Thing Mo era seems foolish. But she's gonna come up with a new thing to challenge herself, and that's what's fun about it.
Marathon?
I did want to yeah, I mean 5:10 marathon maybe just do the Zatopek triple because that her triple got compared to his because he went gold, gold, gold. But again, I'm not taking anything off the table anymore with Sifan Hassan. So we should mention in 5th, Francine Niensaba. Speaking of 8 10K, former 800-meter star who was not permitted to compete in events from 400 meters through the mile and got DQ'd in that 5,000. She ends up getting 5th in the 10K, runs 30:41. So how about that? And then the Americans go 10th with Emily Sisson, 12th with Krisha Schweizer, and 13th with Alicia Monson.
Yeah. I was
It's yeah.
surprised to see Nia Saba do that well. I mean, she ran and it's a quick time, 30:41. Think about this. She
Yeah.
wasn't thinking 10K until for like only she was. Imagine like telling uh, Trayvon Bromell, hey, you have 2 years to run a 1:44.800. You'd be like, are you kidding me? I'm not gonna be able to run one. Yeah, I'm an elite athlete and all, but I'm not gonna run a 1:44.800. That's basically what Nian Saba is doing. After being an 800-meter runner, she's like, oh, go run a 30:41 10K. This is
Yeah.
it's wild. But yeah,
And
I was
this
impressed to see her finish there in the top five.
well, this proves our theory. It's a good thing they went out fast because she definitely could hang with that pace. If it got tactical, that would have been crazy. So if Gaudet didn't push the pace and it lagged because of the heat, then she'd have been she'd have been right there. All right, let's go to the